My name is Rhapsody, his name is sneakyteak, and welcome back to the ladder streak. How's it going, bud?
It's going awesome. Excited to play some Watcha.
So,
Fun fact, in my mind, in about 1 out of every 3 Watcher runs, I immediately think of the intro theme to Samurai Jack.
I'm not familiar.
Really watch that show. Yeah, it's like Watcha, bum ba dum, bum ba dum bum bum, and I hear it every time. You didn't watch that show?
No, unfortunately, it was on only cable networks down here, and I didn't have cable.
I see.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm stoked. I'm ready.
As am I. I am very, very keen to be jumping back into the Watcher. One of my favorite characters at the moment. You know, one of my 4 favorite characters, I would say.
Yeah, top 4.
Definitely. It's solidly placed in there. Hey, Teak. How do you feel about throwing away that trashy pure water and getting ourselves an excellent snack away?
I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down. Oh no. Okay, wait. We have to be so good at the game. This is not as hard of a start as Sozu, but it's a hard start.
Yeah, it's a hard whiff, but at the absolute least, we get to keep the 99 gold, and we've got a very early shop, so we might be able to mitigate like whatever deck weakness we have by that point. And
it could let us improve the consistency of whatever one strong thing is we pick up.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to play careful here. Yeah, the pressure points. Yeah, this is definitely a losable start for sure.
Yeah. There's a path that I think looks pretty good, which hits the shop very early, hits a question mark, goes across for a rest before the first elite, has a second elite without a rest, but then it has a rest before the final elite, and then more question marks before the end.
That's really nice, and upgrading Eruption just became a lot more important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like that upgrade anyway, but when you have the Miracle, it's a lot easier to get away with playing it at 2 cost, and then it's frequently redeeming some cost because of Calm.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And
the
also,
question is, how aggro are you right here?
Oh, remove 2 defense?
I'm down. I'm down to remove 2 defense. Makes it easy to pick up things like Evaluate 2, which can feel a little thin in the early game if you've already got a defensive backing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm keen. You mentioned Evaluate there, and I was thinking like Evaluate, also the it's 6 block, I think upgrades to 10, draws 2 if you had a skill played last. Sanctity.
Yeah. Uncommon card.
That's uncommon. There's also Protect, which is common. Like I'm trying to think through the kinds of things we might find in that shop to supplement the loss of those.
Yeah. I mean, and you just want to take, I genuinely think that you could take every Third Eye offered in a run and it wouldn't even be wrong.
I can't believe I forgot about Third Eye.
Such a strong card.
I've been playing that a lot more recently since you mentioned how much it appeals to you. Well, there's the Evaluate versus an empty body or a Reach Heaven if we want damage.
So I click this Reach Heaven really fast, even with the 2 defend removals, and the reason is Reach Heaven is a single card solution to every elite. It's a very, very strong card for elite hunting, especially if we're going to get the Eruption upgraded. So that's the kind of thing that lets us be really picky from here. And it's too bad to leave the Evaluate and empty body behind, but I think it's really strong.
I love it. I was wondering whether or not I was going to have to try and sell you on it, but
really?
No, very keen on it. I like the card, but to be fair, I like the card in a context where oftentimes my build is around waiting for Divinity and then blowing the enemy up, which, you know, as I mentioned off camera before, is great against the majority of the game. Against the heart,
it's a little hard.
Can't necessarily always wait.
But this class, even, you know, with other setups, just takes a ton of value from having that through violence stick around. Oh, wow.
Do we want to take a Meditate or a Swivel?
I like Meditate here. I think Swivel really requires something like Ragnarok to be meaningful at all, and even then it's a little awkward. Like, I would rather just play the 1 cost block that does something really substantial like Third Eye. Meditate, second source of calm, retention, just a solid card.
So it is. There's another pretty solid card here in Sash Whip, a attack that also helps defenders.
Yes. Do we get to take a strike removal on this run? Given how strong the core deck is.
Yeah, I like it. We're just mega upgrading a strike with the Sash Whip card removal for a strike.
Either that or Flurry. Those are the 2 things that jump out to me. I'm thinking about potions too, but I'd be very down for this Sash Whip to have some guaranteed weakness online early. May I ask who our boss is?
Oh, yeah,
Somebody called me out in the comment section last time for saying, can I see? So now my grammar is perfect.
There wasn't just that call out,
but chat.
Also, people thought that I was passive-aggressively just changing it after to try and actually point out that it should be May and not Can. That's just how I responded. I wasn't even trying to make a point.
At all. Yeah, I felt very comfortable, but now I don't. You know, now it's over.
All right, well, I'm gonna be on my BS this entire time.
Okay.
If you say less and it's a countable set, you best believe I'm gonna say fewer instead.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to be sassed for my having not paid enough attention in 3rd grade or whatever.
That is the only one that I focus on, which is less and fewer. And I only focus on it because I know it is so trivial and it matters so little, and it doesn't it's so little to the point that it doesn't matter at all. But it's very much just kind of like a needling the person that I'm talking to if I'm doing that.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. A good needling, you know, it's not so bad.
I like the removals on these, especially because the Flurry for Blows,
feels less necessary with the Reach Heaven. I do think it would have been strong in this deck. We're cycling a lot, but it's awkward with Meditate. I don't think it's the best Flurry of Blows ever, and I think our damage is already good enough. So I think this is the choice, and it's a really solid upgrade target too. I'm happy.
Yep. Oh,
I'm actually really happy with this deck.
The thing I actually did want to mention was that I don't think that we need any of the potions from that store because we're already really well prepared against the elites.
True. Yeah, and the Swift Rod is legit, actually. That's like half of our deck almost. I mean, it's 3/10 of our deck. But, you know, rounding error in our favor.
Black Eruption.
I'm ready. We could win.
And can.
And so it has been done.
Ooh, love a good block potion. I like Bowling Bash for the early pickup of directed target removal in an AoE circumstance, which becomes very important next floor, especially for the elites.
Have you heard what I call this card?
I have not.
Single target AoE, which is actually usually what you need in an AoE fight. It turns out most AoE fights are solvable by just killing one of the enemies. So I do like the card as long as we feel that we can stay ahead on removals. This deck is already doing a lot of single target damage by cycling things like Reach Heaven once we get the Eruption upgraded. Sorry, I didn't actually see who our boss was. I asked you to show me.
Oh, sorry, it's Hexaghost.
Hexaghost? Okay. Yeah. So like if this is Slime Boss, I'm definitely clicking on Bowling Bash here. Bowling Bash also probably means that we're a little less likely to take Conclude later, and Conclude is really, really good. But I could see taking it here. It will help us in some hallway fights for sure. I'm happy with it.
We do have only 2 defends and 1 vigilance. That's 3 defend cards in 10, and one of them's 2 costs. Although your Sash Whip is pseudo defend in being able to lower the enemy's damage. I could also happily go for Evaluate.
Well, part of me is thinking right now that our best defend card is actually Eruption. And that's a weird thing about building Watcher, is that particularly in Act 1, as long as you draw the right attack cards, you can just kill everything on turn 1 or 2. And so everything that you pick up which is not that Wrath source becomes more and more awkward. I'll say this. I think that I could be convinced that Bowling Bash or Evaluate are better than Skip. I don't think I take the Crush Joints here because we already have a lot of upgrade debt. But either of those I would take.
I'll take the Bowling Bash first.
Cool.
Definitely the money. So
cash.
We want the card look before we go to the rest rather than a question mark after the rest?
I think so. We love to see cards right now. We're pretty strong.
Very, very true.
Because we're Watcher. We're pretty strong, as a rule.
It's like very good that she doesn't have ridiculous access to strength, but is still the strongest character easily.
In terms of ability to destroy hallway fights, yes. I've actually found... So I call Watcher like a very snowball character. Ooh, do you want it?
We have a little bit of upgrade debt, but we also do have like 1, 2, 3 more upgrades that we're going to be hitting on this floor. Let's actually think about the cards we're going to be upgrading, because Meditate is like primary, and so is Eruption, so is Sash Whip. So we'd have to be turning down one of those upgrades this floor in order to take and upgrade the Foreign Influence, because like oftentimes you're just fishing for the highest cost attack from this.
It's true. Although with 11 cards in the deck, you can cycle this too. I think that if you have a Foreign Influence, a Reach Heaven, and a Bowling Bash in your deck and upgraded with a couple Wrath sources, you've solved basically every hallway fight in the game. I'm super happy to take this card just for the optionality. It lets us skip more attacks, which is power.
Should we prioritize the Eruption or the Foreign Influence for the upgrade here? I don't think it's meditate because the deck's not thick enough to consistently have 2 cards that we want.
I prioritize Eruption here because I think it's good enough to beat all of the elites. But, you know, when we play Foreign Influence and it rolls a Meteor Strike, then, like, we'll cry. But, you know, maybe it won't happen.
I'll turn on the Waterwalks full force when that happens. This is 21-42. We have the kill on the midliner already. Gotta love it.
Nice fight.
2 sources of calm in the deck, just in case. Hang on.
Can you leave? Yeah.
It's 10 by 5. It's not going to be able to kill because it's 2 hits for the backliner and 5 hits for the frontliner, I think.
Right. Well, then, is it Empty Fist just for maximum damage? Because an Empty Fist kills the back line right now by itself. And then you just Vigilance and call that a turn.
Yeah, I like it.
Seems reasonable, right?
Seems super reasonable. I was still trying to find a solution where I would take no damage that turn.
Yeah.
But
yeah, upgraded Vigilance is the solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a thing that I actually like the upgrade on. I think it's worth taking at some point. Oh, we have lethal.
Yep.
Sweet.
Ooh, Eternal Feather. Okay. Hang on, though. So there was the earlier Evaluate that we turned down, but we have 2 cards in the deck at the moment that generate other cards into the deck. Is Master Reality ever a good choice, and in which circumstance is it a good choice?
I like it with Battle Hymn.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when you have Dead Branch.
Yep.
I like it with Nilri's Codex. I think it's mostly not helpful here, but it is a very cute card, and you can do some really broken things with it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do get the Master Reality with like all the upgraded insights and upgraded miracles online, you'll feel very cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm not pitching taking it here. It's just the world in which we have 2 Evaluates, a Reach Heaven, and Foreign Influence is a very interesting Master Reality world with this thin of a deck.
It's true, and this is a deck that could really derive benefit from generating cards later. Do you want to try it?
Oh, I'm down to try it. My other like actual pitch is Fear No Evil because I really like Calm Entry on attacks. Gives you the ability to get out of Wrath at the same time as fixing your stance.
Well, and we have 3 calm sources in the deck then too, which is frequently a problem going into Act 2. Is like you can get into that Wrath, but how do you manipulate your stance from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Watcher is such a precise character. Did you do it? Did you click it?
We're doing it.
Okay. We can do this. Ooh. Yeah. We still take it.
This early? Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you get value right away.
It's the right time. Oh. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
What? What are you doing?
Well, we couldn't cast anything else.
Oh gosh. Oh, okay, that's right. They're not 0 cost yet. That's right. That's right.
We just retain that and defend, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Can we set up here?
We can't. I was thinking for the possibility. I mean, we have.
I know. We're not horribly far off. There might have been some math to do here on the redraw, but we could just win instead. Woo! Okay, we're making an omelet.
We have battle. We have Master Reality.
It's true. Oh my, dude. We have to remove every strike. Is there a shop that we can go into with like 2-for-1 special?
Ooh, not necessarily, but the first floor does have a lot of question marks that are removal.
Okay, I'll make a gambit with you. If we take this Battle Hymn, we have to take the most elites possible from here on out for the rest of the run.
Love it.
Because otherwise, we will lose to the heart. Like, this is absolutely a depreciating asset.
Mm-hmm.
But, God, do we really take it? Sure. It's more Master Reality benefit, and you clicked on the card, so there's a removal.
Yep.
We're getting the goodies.
Nice strike.
We're getting the goodies. Nice.
It's just we were just talking about exactly that upgrade.
And we do have Eternal Feather, which makes it easier for us to do the things.
Mm-hmm. We also have Molten Egg and the Frozen Egg, so we are about to be pretty high above the power level of where we should be at this point because we get so many upgrades for free.
Well, and card picks are better than ever now, right? So we want to keep taking fights. Whoa.
So Glass Knife 16 by 2, 36. So it's Eruption on the midline if I want to get the kill, and I can generate a Battle Hymn afterwards. But then I have... Well, I've got one insta-kill on the frontliner after I use the strike this turn. Yeah, I should be fine.
Yeah, with Swift Potion, we're safe, right? Because we can, in the worst case, we bail out with Meditate.
Mm-hmm.
So we're okay. And actually taking a little bit of damage here while holding Block Potion is acceptable because we're going Hexaghost.
So it is, but we're about to take 10.
It's not so bad, I guess. Kill one off, meditate back Eruption.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
It could definitely be worse.
I think we're okay. We took 10 damage, like, almost total across 3 elites in this act, right?
No! We can never take it! No!
Yeah. Signature move, unfortunately, has come up short here. But Vault, though...
Vault doesn't look awful.
Vault never looks awful. I've never once seen a Vault and thought, I really don't want this right now.
It's
I can't think of the run. Yeah.
Battle Hymn, Bowling Bash, Meditate, or do we want to just Vault for the next turn, look for defense?
We're always ending up taking some damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we could get to like a Vigilance, and then do we really think that we can take less than 13 damage in this fight?
So what, it'd be Vigilance and Defend next turn for the total of 13, Eruption the turn after with Reach Heaven, Foreign Influence. Like, if perfect draws, then yes. But
I can see hitting this Vault, and maybe we end up taking 10 damage or something. Yeah, I think this is... I think we might come out barely ahead. Yeah.
Well, let's see what we get from this. Okay, so 9. So Eruption, Reach Heaven is 29, 9,
Are you
18.
running any mods?
No.
Okay, fun fact. Base mod, the core mod, there's mod the Spire, and then there's base mod, which is the base for all other mods on top of it in the UI, and then there's like STS lib that a bunch of things uses.
Yep.
Base mod changes nothing about the core game. Your game is exactly the same as if it weren't modded, except for one thing, which is that if you ever generate a card that makes an orb, you get an orb slot. So if you're running any mods, this Cold Snap makes a Frost Orb. And if you're not running any mods, it doesn't. It's the only difference. Yeah,
I've encountered it multiple times, pulling out orb generating cards from foreign. It's not. We do not have it running, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really sad.
I've been called out for this. Yeah.
So Headbutt 18, 9, 27 plus 20 is 47. We have exact lethal.
Sick.
9, 29, 18, 37, 47. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I think we can take a little less than 13 in this fight.
We did. It sure is upgraded.
It sure is, isn't it? And we do want to put, like, naturally another Source of Wrath in this deck so that we have the ability to transition for the Battle Hymn turns.
Transition for the Battle Hymn turns?
As in, be able to transition to Wrath so that we can actually unload a ridiculous amount of damage on the right turns with the Battle Hymn. We're not always
what card are you looking at?
So I'm looking at Flurry. Like, we're already incentivized to get more Wrath in the deck.
You want to... I see. To just use as a little bit more fuel to kill with the Wrath that we're cycling.
This is also more insight in the deck, as well as it sets up for a big turn with the Battle Hymn still.
Do you ever take the prey here? With an Ink Bottle and a Master Reality, is it actually a card?
I totally could. I thought it was a non-starter if I was going to pitch it, but I definitely could.
I don't know. I'm just asking. Like, this might be the circumstance. So the way that I think about Divinity, particularly at higher Ascension, is that Divinity can be a really powerful effect, but you have to backdoor into it. You need some synergy already existing. You don't just take a prey. You take a prey with a Damaru and a battle or a Master Reality. You don't just take a worship. You take a worship with an Omniscience in the deck or a Snecko Eye, right? You don't just take the prostrate. You take the prostrate when you've already got fasting or something, so you're getting more block out of it. And I'm wondering if Master Reality is enough to backdoor us into prey here. And I genuinely don't know. It feels too cheesy with no energy. But if we take one prey and then another, you know, we're there.
See, that's where I'm leaning at the moment, is hand size is a problem for us, and extra draw is not necessarily the solution that we need. We're going to have a lot of smites that we're holding in hand from the battle here. We're not going to have the miracle, thankfully. But also we have... Wait, I guess we don't have another source of generating insights yet. I thought we hadn't evaluated the deck, which we don't.
No, not yet. We just talked about it a couple times. Yeah.
We have 2 sources of retain. One's retain delayed, one's retain instantly. I could take the prey. I'm not excited about it being the source of mantra in the deck.
Me neither. With how much energy cost we have, is it ever prostrate?
I could take that happily. Definitely.
Right? It's like we're always spending money on all of these smites. Couple prostrates. I mean, we've got a frozen egg. We take fasting very aggressively. The deck is small, so we're cycling it fairly frequently. We have meditate for like recurrence tech. That's a tenable line. Basically, what I'm trying to do here is convince myself that we can backdoor in Divinity, because the deck is small enough that we could probably do some really exciting things with Divinity. But I think that it's like we go down into the Valley of Darkness before we can come back out the other side. I don't think that either of these immediately makes the deck much better. And they might actually make the deck worse. But they could make the deck much better later.
But do they need to make the deck much better right now? We're about to fight the Hexaghost and we're already pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's prostrate then, man.
The other pitch for Flurry of Blows is we just identified energy generation as a problem, and another thing you solve when starts dancing is energy. It's no longer really a problem for you if you're doing it efficiently.
I think that Flurry is the choice if we want to stay ahead of the curve for killing things over the next act and being very aggressive. And Prostrate is the choice if we want to start finding a way to generate boss damage for Act 2, and if we want to find a way to get more economic block online.
I like it.
Cool.
Let's try it out.
I think it's doable. I think it's tenable.
I think this one's the upgrade on Vault. I think it's really important to have the ability to expend some of your energy before you have to Vault out of a turn, so you're actually benefiting from it.
I can dig it. I'm doing either Vault or Sash Whip here, I think.
Sash Whip is also really important here because the weakness on the first turn still propagates to the second. I can do Sash Whip for exclusively that reason.
I think it opens up our Book of Stabbing fight next act too, which is something we need to be sure we can win.
Sounds good to me. Hey, there's the Sash Whip.
Everything is here. Everyone's here.
The only thing is we have to either play the Master Reality or battle him if we want to play the Strike Sash Whip.
Yeah. Honestly, it's probably okay to not have weakness online. Just like the sheer value from getting Battle Him and Master Reality down seems pretty high. And then we would just end the turn and calm, I guess.
Oh, right. Okay.
Plus, Foreign Influence is a or as a clothesline. I'm calling it. Call your shots. If you don't call your shots.
I mean, look, it'll happen.
Yeah.
The only way to make the game pay off like that is to call it repeatedly until it eventually happens and then say that's proof that it always works.
Until it finally agrees with you. That's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's, I guess, Empty Fist?
Empty Fist here seems fine, right?
Yeah, cycling it back into the deck is good at least.
Yeah.
Do we want to use Reach Heaven and Smite and then Empty Fist out of this and just hold the 6 damage?
And
because that gets the Reach Heaven out.
Ahead of us. Yeah, I think so. I think that nice aggressive path is good. We don't want to take the 6x6. That's for sure. 6x6 surely ends us.
Definitely got to speed past that. Ooh. I like this turn going with a Defend, Bowling Bash, Meditate to bring back Eruption. And then we have the Eruption as well as 2 Smites and a Through Violence for the next hand.
I'm pretty sure we're just lethal next turn, actually.
Almost certainly.
If we're not, we're pretty close. Again.
No counting.
We don't have to count.
Ooh! Pre-upgraded, though!
Yeah, it is. It's pretty good, man. Genuinely, I think this Devotion is exciting because with a Prostrate and a Devotion and maybe like another Prostrate in the future, this is to the scale to where it's generating energy for us. And that's the point where Divinity really breaks over the curve. We've got enough big beefy cards to hit with things like Vault. You know, if we can get a couple more of those like really effective 2-cost cards like a Wallop, then the deck starts to look pretty solid. I really like the Devotion here.
This also makes Vault, not only the one we currently have, but any that we would pick up in the future, significantly better. Just because you get an extra turn of an upgraded Smite in your hand, as well as 3 extra Divinity. You tick the clocks still.
Yeah.
Or your clocks, at least.
Would you take all 3 cards if you were allowed to take all 3? Would you take that alpha? How do you feel about alpha?
So I might not take that alpha with this as the base deck, but if I had a deck that was similarly thin and wasn't, you know, didn't already have its damage on lock with something like, you know, Battle Hymn, the Foreign Influence, Reach Heaven, etc. If I was more defensive, or even if I was more stance-dancey than this, then I would definitely go for the alpha. Alpha was one of my first loves playing the Watcher. Just trying to find ways to make it work in every different deck, in every different way.
I think it's my favorite Watcher card, and we sure do have Master Reality, which I guess makes it marginally better too.
Oh god, we do.
But this was the right choice. Devotion was great. I'm really happy with it.
Let's see if we see an alpha in the future. Let's not close that door to ourselves.
Oh
god, really?
God. We gotta do it. We have to.
They get generated in hand at 1 cost with the Battle Hymn anyway.
Yeah. Right? I mean, you take Snecko here, I think. Oh, but it does make our Through Violence really awkward.
Through Violence and Prostrate are both really awkward. So's Foreign Influence on most turns.
Yeah. That's a good point. I just think the extra card draw is so relevant to our consistency that it's hard to turn down. Broken Crown, I think, there is no relic which has a greater power to end a run in Act 3 having been taken in Act 1. It is a takeable boss relic, and I've won a lot of runs with it, but it's super dangerous if your deck is not fully online. And Velvet Choker, we could probably play around. We don't have Miracles anymore, but it definitely shuts down any Flurry of Blows style play. Makes Foreign Influence a little worse, and those big burst turns with Devotion get a little trickier, right?
Yes,
so
that in particular is a big killer of it for me.
Right. I think if we take this Snecko Eye, we can get it online. It makes 2 of our cards a little more awkward, and the Eruption upgrade's silly, but like we start to find 2 and 3 cost cards, and it gets better really quickly.
It does. It's also like there's a natural pairing with it and Worship. Being a way to effectively just generate at will a bunch of energy, because Worship is a great card to generate the random cost for. It's got a couple things that it looks forward into the future for. Also, it is very good for any large attack that we can happen to get out, and those are already good with Divinity. I can do it, definitely. I'm leaning more towards Busted Crown personally, because I think the deck already has like a lot of strength in it, but I also recognize that like there is not really much of a defensive tool in any of this deck.
This deck doesn't come close to living through Heart, and the kind of cards that make this deck live through Heart are mostly uncommons, which, unless, now wait a second though.
I'm waiting.
Unless they're commons. If I could guarantee that we could find a Fasting, then all of a sudden I think this Broken Crown opens up a lot, because common block cards become very solid, particularly the 0-cost ones, in a way that Snecko Eye, like they're opposite paths. They're very opposite paths. Yeah.
I think we should go for the Snecko Eye. Like, I have my arguments for the Busted Crown.
Yeah.
But ultimately, especially as I think about like all of the attacks are already going to be upgraded.
Right.
I feel more comfortable with the Snecko Eye.
You're definitely right though. It's spooky, and drawing Battle Hymn at 3 cost on turn 1 will feel bad, because that's so much of our setup, and so that makes it a little spooky. And actually, in the immediate term, while we're looking for cards, it's possible that Snecko will cause us to take more damage and increase our variance, because of the 2 key setup pieces to doing damage are Reach Heaven through Violence and Battle Hymn with a smattering of Foreign Influence. Like, this will make the first half of Act 2 probably more dangerous, but I think it has a better chance of succeeding by Act 4. Broken Crown is our winning line for Act 2. You're definitely right. We take that, we beat Act 2, we beat the elites, we try to snowball. but we're going to have to desperately search for key cards to get to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it up to you. I think we can win with either of these. They're both kind of scary, but for different reasons.
It's also worth noting that, like, yes, that Battle Hymn, innate having 3 costs on turn 1 is going to be pretty bad, but with a deck of 16 cards and a draw of 7 per turn, as well as a couple of them retaining, we get back to it relatively quickly.
Yeah, and we only need a Wallop and a Ragnarok, and like some good 2-cost block, and it's solid. Spirit Shield is fine now, like
Spirit Shield would be so good, retaining cards in hand and drawing 7 a turn. Like, Spirit Shield is one of my favorite companion pieces for Snecko. It is oftentimes actually, the only block that I'm really running in the deck. Like, other cards will be in there, but I'm only generating block from Spirit Shield.
Yeah. This is wild. I'm super excited. It definitely, I love Snecko, and it was the relic that I won the most heart fights with for a long time until I discovered the joy of Pyramid. But we also did just take a couple picks which are kind of spooky with it, but we'll fix it. We just have to tiptoe through the beginning of Act 2. Once we're another like 4 card picks deep, we'll be solid.
Aren't we glad we didn't upgrade that vault then?
Yes.
Well, for the moment, this has been Act 1. The links for the other 2 videos for the following Acts 2 and then Acts 3 and 4 are linked in the description down below. Hope to see you there.